Storyboard is a visual representation of how a story will play out. A storyboard communicates your vision. It sets out what you want the final piece to flow, and whether it's a novel presentation, a short film, or even some sort of a marketing video, it simplifies the whole creative process. Although it takes more time to make a storyboard, it's going to save you time and money in the long run. In brief, I want you guys to be able to keep your storyboard very rough. This isn't supposed to be a work of art. Sketching out your frames, a process known as scamping, is where you turn the script from something that's written into a visual form. You'll often make a lot of changes, and I probably should be using a pencil, really. But all in all, it helps you quickly come up with ideas, make changes without being overly concerned about the visual style. And you don't need to be a storyboard artist. Stick figures, rough sketches, this will do the trick. You also want to consider an aspect ratio. Right now I'm drawing in a 16:9 aspect ratio. That's full HD. And that's gonna kind of show what's going to fit within that sort of a frame. So you wouldn't get the same feel with a square frame. When you get the storyboard done, there's something that I need you guys to consider. It's like, is it moving? Are there parts of the script that start to feel slow? Can some of the sections be removed entirely? So you can feed these ideas back into your script, and then you can consider things like continuity. If the character is trudging through muddy river in one shot, they're going to need to have dirty trousers in the next, right? Consider chronological order of what you're writing. When you edit your storyboard, it's perfect time to consider some of the subtler visual cues. So how can you communicate it? How can you have stronger communication skills with framing, color, transition effects? Those are all different ways to amplify emotion that might be missing from the script. So there's a few things to consider. Setting a scene during a particular day will evoke feeling in your audience. Morning is more optimistic, whereas a late evening can suggest urgency or suspense. You may want to consider silhouetting your character. This may be a helpful way to see your character shots, look at scenes without any detailed line work, and you can quickly discover whether or not your action is understandable. I want you guys to consider adding staging elements. Color really helps convey the mood that you're after, so you shouldn't distract from the story. Character is king. Vary your shot types, camera angles. Too much of the same thing will quickly become dull and repetitive. Also, showing your camera moves through the space is very important as well. So camera moves are a great way to add interest to your finished production. It's also a great way to speak to your audience without having to really say anything. So here's some well-known camera moves to kind of get you started with that. Panning involves moving the camera horizontally from one side to another. Tilt. This is where your camera stays stationary in one position, but it focuses upwards and downwards movements. A dolly is a track-mounted camera that moves towards or away from a subject. You can move the camera back and forth on rails to create some cinematic engagement and also to reveal something. This is probably also a great time to go over different shot types that can be used in filmmaking. You may want to begin your scene with an establishing shot. Often that's a very wide shot, exposing the audience to all the outside elements around the characters. Oftentimes stories will contain power struggles, and this is where you want to really think about how you have the camera. If you want to show somebody weak, you want to shoot somebody from above. If you want to show somebody strong, you want to shoot them from below. Close-ups are often used to convey motion or to show an object with particular interest to the storyline. An over-the-shoulder shot, OTS, is a shot in which the camera is placed just behind an off-screen actor so that their shoulder is in the frame while you capture an on-screen actor's coverage. You can also do this to orient your viewer, but an over-the-shoulder shot will also suggest a connection or understanding between the characters in your scene. The Dutch angle, also known as a Dutch tilt, canted angle, oblique angle, is a type of camera shot which involves the setting of the camera at an angle to roll its axis so that the shot is composed of the vertical lines at an angle to the side of the frame, so that the horizontal line of the shot is not parallel with the floor. The primary use of these angles is to cause a sense of unease or disorientation of the viewer. A rack focus is a filmmaking technique of changing the focus of the lens during the continuous shot. When the shot racks, it moves from the focal plane from one object to the frame of another. Also known as a focus pull or pulling focus, this technique can include small or large changes of focus. The more shallow depth of field, the more noticeable transition between the focal planes. Well, hello everyone, it's time to go revisit your scripts that you guys have created and take a look. Hopefully some of this information helps with creating your next storyboard.